I'm Amy from Doodle Dog Designs. Welcome to my channel. Today I am going to make some hooked rug flowers. These will be three-dimensional flowers. I had some smaller pieces of monk's cloth that won't fit on my gripper strip frame, but they're too big to throw away, so I took two pieces and I just overlapped them at the edge here, and then I did a zigzag stitch. I would not put my design over the seam here, but I can hook on either side and be able to utilize these small pieces of fabric. I started off by using a couple of different jar lids as templates to draw a circle, but I realized after I hooked them that that was too big of a circle, and what you really need is a circle around 2¼ inches in diameter. I want to make sure I put it not right by the edge, so I have a little bit of room to work and to attach it to the gripper strip frame. I'm going to trace around my circle, and then I'll outline that with my thicker marker. I didn't want to trace around my circle with my thicker marker because then I would end up with marker on my lid. Okay, I want to leave a little bit of room in between, but I don't need a whole lot of room for what I'm going to do. So I'll go ahead and do another one. Now for the stems, I have 3 fabric wrapped floral stems, and they're very tiny. I feel like it's going to look too thin, so I'm going to take 3 of them and I'm going to twist them together. Shown here are the larger circles that I hooked first before I realized they needed to be smaller. I hooked my circles and then I steam pressed them, and then I serged around the edge using the presser foot of the serger as my gauge here for my width of how much seam allowance I left. This is the smaller flower center after I took out the outer row of hooking. To make the flower center, I ran a gathering stitch around the empty monk's cloth close to the edge of the hooked wool. After I had stitched all the way around, but before I pulled the gathering stitch tight, I took the stem and poked it through one of the holes on the empty monk's cloth, and then brought it back up through an adjoining hole, and then bent the wire over. After the stem was attached, I gathered up the circle and I pushed the empty fabric to the inside of the circle for my stuffing. If you need some more stuffing, you can go ahead and add some fiberfill or something. I had enough empty monk's cloth there, especially since I had taken some of the hooking out and had my circles a little bit larger than you probably will. Hopefully you won't break your thread like I did, and you can tie it off after you get everything gathered and pushed inside. So I've picked out these wools. This purple wool is one that I toned down and modeled in another video. I'll put a link in the description below to that one. And these others are hand dyed, so they have a little bit of a modeled appearance to them. These modeled wools will give my flowers a primitive look. So I have cut some strips that are 7 inches long and 1/2 inch wide. And then on each strip, I'm going to angle the ends with my scissors to look like flower petals. Just going to curve it a little bit and give it a little bit of a point, but with a curve. I made 3 different flowers, and I used anywhere from 10 to 15 flower petals on each flower. I'm going to take my petals and arrange them in a circle. And for this one, the other ones I did all of my petals right about the same length, but this one, because my piece of fabric was irregular, not just a square, some of my pieces are a little bit longer and some of my petals are a little bit shorter. Here's a short one. So excited to see how that turns out and how much different it looks than the one where they're all even. So I've got my thread, my needle, threaded again, and just going to go all the way through. And stitch these together. Now I'm going to stitch it onto the flower center. The first few stitches I'm going to do right in the middle of the flower center. Just hold it down good. I'm bringing these stitches up in between rows of hooking so it's not right on the hooked wool, and that way I can pull tight. After I got it tacked down good in the center, I stitched around the outer edge. I tore a strip of green fabric, and this is about 9 inches long and 3/4 inch wide, and I'm just going to tie it a little bit below where the petals fall on the stem. I'm going to display them in an ironstone pitcher. I took the 3 flowers and I've arranged them at 3 different heights, and then I tied them together with a piece of raffia. And then I'm going to put them in the pitcher. If you have a floral foam, you could use that. I usually use crinkled up grocery or Walmart sacks. And there's stuff around my flowers. Until I get them to stand up like I want them to. And I use this sack method on lots of different, on my artificial flowers I buy from the store too. Just a good way to get them to stand up and be in the right position. And now I'm going to add Spanish moss. And I'm just going to use that to cover up the bags because I don't want to look at those. And then I want them all to droop just a little bit the same direction. Those wire stems, you can really bend them just like you want them.
I hope you found that helpful. Be sure to click the like button and subscribe below. I'll see you next time. Bye.